In a world where time seems to move faster and faster, where the pressure to consume is constant, there is a different path we can choose. It's called the slow life. This idea might sound simple, but its power is profound, especially for those of us who have witnessed decades of change and perhaps now wish for something quieter and more meaningful as we age. One aspect of reevaluating consumerism in our later years is that as we grow older, it becomes clear that material things often carry less weight. In our youth, society told us that more possessions meant more success. We were bombarded with advertisements, and the message was always clear: spend more, own more, be more. But now, with the wisdom that comes from years of living, many of us recognize that happiness doesn't come from what we own. The fabric of modern society is built on consumerism, designed to make us spend. It tells us that we are part of the system only if we buy into it, literally. The latest gadget, the fanciest car, the most luxurious vacation, these are sold to us as the keys to happiness. But the truth is, consuming doesn't fill the deeper needs of our souls. We live in a world where everything is monetized, and for those of us who remember a time when life moved at a slower pace, it can be overwhelming. But there's a way out. We don't have to buy into this race anymore. In fact, we've reached an age where it's perfectly acceptable to opt out, to stop, breathe, and live slower. 1. Clearing out clutter. A personal journey. Let me share a story. Many years ago, I downsized. I sold my large home and moved into a smaller space, a narrow boat. Now, if you know anything about narrow boats, you'll understand they're small, 50 feet long and just under 7 feet wide. That's not much room for stuff. I had to make hard decisions about what to keep and what to let go. I couldn't take everything with me. At first, it felt impossible. I had accumulated so much over the years. Boxes of things I hadn't used in decades, kitchen appliances I didn't even remember owning. I had 5 coffee makers, for heaven's sake. But as I started letting go, a funny thing happened. I began to feel lighter. It was as if I was shedding not just material things, but emotional weight. Moving into that small space and taking only what I truly needed gave me a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in years. It felt like a burden had been lifted, much like the mythical Atlas shrugging off the sky. Even if you're not planning to move or downsize, I encourage you to try it. Go through your kitchen, your closets, and your garage. Get rid of the things you no longer need or use. Don't hoard. You'll be amazed at how much better you'll feel with less. Simplifying your surroundings has a way of simplifying your mind. 2. Embracing capitalism with caution. Now, I'm not against capitalism. In fact, it's a system that works for the most part. Businesses create goods and services that make our lives easier, and in return, they earn a profit. That's fair. If someone bakes a loaf of bread and sells it to me for a little more than it costs to make, I'm fine with that. They've done the hard work, and I'm happy to pay for the convenience. But the problem arises when the balance tips too far, and we start consuming for the sake of consuming. The beauty of capitalism is that it's a competitive system. If one company charges too much for a product, another will come along and undercut their price. However, the downside is that we can get trapped in a cycle of buying more and more, always chasing the next product, the next trend, the next fleeting pleasure. As we get older, we realize that the things we thought we needed weren't really necessary at all. Life isn't about having the newest phone or the fanciest clothes. It's about experiences, relationships, and moments of quiet reflection. 3. Living simply in a complex world. Living a slow, less materialistic life means going against the grain. Most people in society are caught up in consumer culture. They're always on the go, always buying, always chasing something. If you choose to step off that treadmill, you'll find yourself in the minority. But being in the minority can be a beautiful thing. When you choose to live more simply, without the constant need for more possessions, you begin to see life differently. You start noticing things that perhaps went unnoticed before: the rustle of leaves in the wind, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the quiet moments of reflection that bring a sense of peace and contentment. These things can't be bought, yet they offer a richness that money simply cannot provide. Living simply doesn't mean depriving yourself. It means being intentional with your choices, focusing on what truly brings you joy, and letting go of the rest. It's about slowing down enough to appreciate the life you have rather than always striving for the life you think you need. Yes, you might feel like an outsider at first. Friends and family may not understand your choice to live more minimally. But over time, the peace you gain from slowing down and consuming less will far outweigh the discomfort of being different. You'll find that the simple life, while perhaps unconventional in today's world, is a path toward greater fulfillment and deeper happiness. 4. Appreciating the little things. As we age, the things that bring us joy often become simpler. The grandiose experiences we once sought may no longer hold the same allure. Instead, we find happiness in the little things, the things that in our youth we may have overlooked or taken for granted. The quiet pleasure of sipping a cup of tea on a crisp morning, the contentment of spending time with loved ones, or the joy of watching birds at the feeder, these small moments become the treasures of life, and they are often free. That's the beauty of slow living. When you're no longer caught up in the whirlwind of consumerism, you begin to see the value in things that don't have a price tag. Maybe you'll start gardening, growing your own vegetables or flowers. Perhaps you'll pick up a book you've been meaning to read or revisit a hobby you loved but never had time for. The point is, when you remove the distractions of constant consumption, you create space for these simple joys, and they will sustain you far longer than any material possession ever could. 5. Resisting the pull of consumerism. Let's be honest, the pull of consumerism is strong. Even after you've made the conscious decision to live a slower, simpler life, you'll still face temptations. It's easy to get caught up in the allure of sales advertisements, or even just the urge to buy something new because it feels good in the moment. How many times have we all logged onto a website like Amazon, not needing anything in particular, but ended up browsing for things to buy? That's the seduction of consumerism. It convinces us that we need things we don't. Before we know it, we've filled our carts with items that bring only temporary satisfaction. But here's the good news. The more you practice resisting these urges, the easier it becomes. Like any habit, it takes time to break the cycle of mindless spending. Start small. Try to go one day without buying anything, then 2, then a week. Over time, you'll find that the desire to constantly consume fades, and you'll feel more at peace with what you already have. 6. Filling the void with meaningful activities. When you stop spending so much time and money on buying things, you'll notice that you have more space in your life, both literally and figuratively. What will you do with that space? The possibilities are endless, but the key is to fill it with activities that bring meaning and joy to your life. Maybe you'll take up knitting or start walking in the park every morning. Perhaps you'll spend more time with your grandchildren, sharing stories from your past and passing on the wisdom you've gained. Or maybe you'll devote more time to a hobby or craft that you've always enjoyed but never fully pursued. The point is, when you're no longer focused on acquiring things, you can focus on doing things that nourish your soul and bring you a deeper sense of fulfillment. You'll find that these activities, though simple, are incredibly rewarding and don't require you to open your wallet. 7. The challenges of living differently. Living a slow, simple life in today's world isn't without its challenges. You will encounter resistance, not just from others, but from within yourself. We've all been conditioned to believe that success and happiness are tied to what we own, and it can be hard to let go of that belief. Society pushes a narrative of consumption because it benefits those in power. The more we spend, the more they gain. Choosing to step outside of that system means going against the grain, and that can be uncomfortable at times. You may feel isolated or misunderstood, especially when you see friends or family members continuing to live in a way that no longer resonates with you. But take heart, the discomfort is temporary. The rewards of living a simpler, more intentional life are profound. Over time, the pressures of society will have less of a hold on you, and you'll find peace in knowing that you're living in alignment with your values. The journey isn't easy, but it's worth it. 8. Financial freedom through simplicity. One of the biggest advantages of living a slow life is the financial freedom it brings. When you stop buying things you don't need, you start saving money, and that money can be used for the things that truly matter. Whether it's traveling to see family, investing in your health, or simply building a cushion for peace of mind in your later years, living simply reduces the financial pressure many of us feel as we age. Instead of working to maintain a lifestyle built on consumption, you can focus on enjoying the fruits of your labor and the things that bring you real joy. You may even find that you need less income than you thought to live a fulfilling life. 9. Reflecting on life's journey as we grow older. Reflection becomes a natural part of life. We look back on the choices we've made, the experiences we've had, and the lessons we've learned. Living a slow, simple life gives us the space to do this reflection in a meaningful way. When I reflect on my own journey, I don't regret the things I didn't buy or the trends I didn't follow. What I cherish are the moments spent with loved ones, the experiences of quiet joy, and the deep sense of peace that comes from living in alignment with my values. I've made mistakes along the way, of course, but I wouldn't change a thing. The path I've chosen, slow, intentional, and less materialistic, has brought me a level of contentment that no amount of possessions ever could. 10. Leaving a legacy of simplicity. Finally, as we near the later stages of life, many of us begin to think about the legacy we'll leave behind. What do we want to be remembered for? For me, it's not about leaving behind material wealth or possessions. It's about leaving behind the values I've lived by: simplicity, mindfulness, and appreciation for the things that truly matter. I hope that my children and grandchildren will learn from my example, not from the things I owned, but from the way I chose to live. I hope they'll see that happiness doesn't come from having more, but from appreciating the simple joys of life. And I hope they'll carry that lesson forward, finding their own paths to peace and contentment just as I have. 11. Prioritizing health and well-being. In the slow life as we age, our health becomes one of the most important aspects of our lives. In a world that often prioritizes productivity and material success over well-being, it's easy to forget to take care of ourselves. Living a slow life encourages us to focus on our health, both mental and physical, by making space for rest, self-care, and mindfulness. When we slow down, we give ourselves the time to truly listen to our bodies. We start to recognize when we need rest, when we need to move, and when we need to nourish ourselves with healthy food and positive experiences. This awareness is a key benefit of slow living. Instead of pushing ourselves to the brink for the sake of maintaining a busy schedule or accumulating more things, we can focus on staying active, eating well, and nurturing our mental well-being. For many, this shift also leads to a deeper connection with nature. Whether it's taking regular walks in a local park, gardening, or simply sitting outside to enjoy the fresh air, connecting with the natural world has immense benefits for our health. Studies have shown that spending time in nature reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and improves mental clarity. In a slow life, health is not an afterthought, it's a priority. With less pressure to keep up with the pace of modern life, we can focus on the most important thing of all, our well-being. By caring for ourselves in this way, we can enjoy a higher quality of life both now and in the years to come. Conclusion: the joy of slow living. Choosing to live a slow life, spending less, and finding peace and simplicity is not the easiest path, but it is one of the most rewarding. It allows us to step away from the constant pressure to consume and instead focus on the things that truly matter: relationships, experiences, and inner peace. For those of us in the later stages of life, this approach offers a chance to reflect on what's most important, to let go of the unnecessary, and to live with a sense of contentment and fulfillment. It's a journey worth taking, and I invite you to join me on it. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you find these stories inspiring and motivating, please comment 1. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time.